Hey guys, I'm Wildcard and I'm going over the new Fantasy Strike October 2020 update. For those who haven't seen it yet, feel free to pause at any point if you want to read. The first one we have is dummy recording. Now, this is something the game needed. Most fighting games right now have this. The main purpose of this is to lab punishes. I'll show an example of that right now. Now I'm going to show an example of dummy recording in DBFZ. As you can see, I'm the Goku on the left, but if I press the record button, I can play as the Goku on the right. See? Now I'm gonna record the actions I want it to do. So I'm gonna press record again, do my combo, and then press record to stop recording. Now I'm once again playing as the Goku on the left. Now if I press the playback button, it'll replay that same exact string that I just did. See? So I can use that to practice. Now I should recognize that I should block low on one of the hits. And now I can punish. Before this, pretty much you could only set the dummy to do one action at a time. Normally I plug in my second controller and it was super inconvenient to have to switch controllers quickly, or sometimes I would use a second fight stick, put it on the floor and control with my foot. But now it can all be done with one controller. Now I'm going to show the dummy recording in Fantasy Strike. So I'm on player 1 side. And if I press the record button, I can now control the player 2 Satsuki. And if I press record again, I can record my combo. So let me show how it works right now. That's the move I want to record. Then I'll press done. Now if I press the playback button, it'll do that combo. Okay, next we have gifting items. This part is self-explanatory. You can use your gems to buy cosmetics for someone else, like your friend. Something to note here, the player sending a gift to doesn't have to be on your friends list, and you can send gifts to someone on PS4. Okay, now we have the main course, the balance patch. Now before I start this section, I just want to say some parts will be my opinion, and I could be wrong. You don't have to agree with me, and that's okay. First up, we got Grave. The hitbox of his ground super is a little bit taller, and his ground super is fixed to always do 2 damage against an armored move. Okay, next we got Rook. And the cursed landslide nerf. We've known since the beginning that this was coming. Now the first hit's active frames are now reduced. It went from 17 frames to 7 frames, and the startup increased, going from 21 frames to 25 frames. Also, they made it easier to punish landslide by reducing the distance when blocking against it. In my opinion, I don't think this makes Rook necessarily bad. Previous update, you could just spam landslide to win. You can watch my previous videos to see what I'm talking about. Okay, now I'm gonna show Rook's landslide pre-patch. See how I blocked the landslide and I got pushed so far I couldn't do a throw? Okay, post patch if I try to block landslide. The grab connects. Now for Satsuki, I like this change. They gave her back the stun of her dive kick. In the previous patch I found it harder to do her 4 damage combo. The window to follow up with neutral A was too small and I would drop the combo. For her last 2 changes, air C being 4 frames slower, which is the move where she flies, and now her super cooldown is increased by 2 seconds. Nothing major, just some small nerfs. Now to Gray, just a cosmetic change, no buffs or nerf. After that, we got Argo Guard. Specifically against Lum, his opponent won't lose poison and Argo Guard's bubble shield won't pop if you pick up a cherry or cake. I would call this more of a fix rather than a buff because it's only for one matchup. Then we got Onomaru. Using neutral A has an anti-air, has higher priority. Second is changes to his parry. It now breaks armor and is no longer triggered by Lum's cherry or cake. Last for Oni is a cosmetic change. These are good buffs to Onomaru. Maybe I'll try him out again in a future video. Finally, Quince. When Patriot Mirror and Consent of the Governed are both active, the AI controlled real illusions will get resummoned after 2.5 seconds instead of going away completely. Need buff making it so that you'll have illusions for the whole meter. Second, the air super no longer autocorrects to phase the opponent when you try to cross up. The last 2 are just bug fixes. The section after that is mostly quality of life fixes. I'll scroll through, so anyone watching, feel free to pause. There's one part here that I think is important. It's about macros, which is using 2 buttons to do an action rather than 1. For example, I press A and D to grab, and B and C to use a super. All in all, I think the roster is pretty balanced even before this patch. The landslide nerf came. I'll have to hop online and see for myself if these characters are better or worse. Who knows? If you want to see me play Fantasy Strike, please leave a like and subscribe before you go. Thank you.